Hello, Protoss players! I'm Gillyweed, and this is the IMBAbuilds audio guide to HerO's aggressive PvZ Stargate build. Don't forget to check the video description below for a link to the IMBAbuilds website, where you'll find tips on the build as well as other replays of it in action. In a second, I'll ask you to pause this video while you start a game against an easy AI Zerg opponent. Once the game loads, pause it and come back here. I'll then give you a countdown and you can resume your game. Ready? Pause the video. Welcome back. Get ready to unpause the game and start your first probe in 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. You just started your first probe. Keep building them. You'll warp in your first pylon after starting your 9th probe. You should have just started your 9th probe. When you get close to 100 minerals, pull out a probe to warp in a pylon, then return it to mining. Your pylon should finish at the same time as your 10th probe. When able, start an 11th probe and chrono boost it out. Chrono boost the Nexus. When your 12th probe finishes, use it to warp in a gateway before mining. Warp in an assimilator. Chrono boost the Nexus, then warp in another pylon by your Nexus. When your assimilator finishes, put 3 probes on it. When the gateway finishes, warp in a cybernetics core. Start a Zealot at the gateway, then chrono boost the Nexus. This Zealot is only for defense versus early lings and should be cancelled if no lings show up by the time you expand. If you are uncomfortable with this step, skip this Zealot. Send a probe to the natural now. If you see no early lings, cancel the Zealot and start a Nexus, keeping the probe at the natural. If you encounter lings, finish the Zealot, delay the Expo, and start a Mothership core as soon as possible. Start a Mothership core and chrono boost it out, then start Warp Gate research. Build a pylon at the natural. When the Mothership core finishes, resume probe production. You should be at 23 supply. At 50 gas, start a Stalker, then warp in a second assimilator. Chrono boost the Cyber Core. When able, warp in 2 gateways at the natural wall. Put 3 probes on your new assimilator. Start another Stalker at the gateway when the first one finishes. When your Nexus is done, start probe production. At 150 gas, warp in a Stargate. Build it at the natural wall if needed for the wall. Move out with your Stalker and Mothership core as well as a probe for a proxy pylon. Rally your second Stalker to them. You should be around 35 supply. Change your main's rally point to the natural's minerals. Chronoboost the Cyber Core. Warp in a proxy pylon when your units are in position and keep your units there to defend it. When Warp Gate research completes, transform your gateways into Warp Gates. Warp in 3 Zealots at the proxy pylon and build a pylon at home. Then attack with your 6 units to scout. Target fire queens with stalkers and time warp queens and roaches. If it looks like a Zerg 2-base all-in, warp in sentries at home and start making void rays versus being aggressive with these units. If you're dealing a lot of damage, you can warp in 3 more Zealots, otherwise don't overcommit. Once you've seen the unit comp, make your first air unit. If a Zerg 2-base all-in is coming, make a void ray. If your attack killed queens, make an oracle, otherwise build a phoenix. Chronoboost your Nexi, and then build assimilators on both gases at the natural. Warp in a pylon and a sentry at home. Chronoboost the Nexi, then build another pylon. You should be at 58 supply. When your first Stargate unit finishes, build a phoenix. When you feel safe enough, send a probe over to the 3rd to warp in a nexus. If you don't feel safe expanding, get a forge and cannons at the natural first. Chronoboost the Stargate. When the Phoenix finishes, start Void Ray production. Assuming you only warped in 3 Zealots in your initial attack, you should have around 45 probes, 2 Stalkers, 3 Zealots, 1 Sentry, 1 Mothership Core, and 2 Phoenixes. If you warped in 3 additional Zealots in the attack, your expansion will be delayed by about 20 seconds and you'll have slightly more units. Transition by getting a forge and building cannons at your natural and 3rd. From here, Hero gets 2 more Stargates and additional assimilators for mass Void Rays. You can also add gateways and go for a mass Charge Law Archon army with some Void Rays added in. Good luck and have fun!